Good evening, Matinee Tribunalക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും സ്വാഗതം. So today, this is a special topic based on childhood experience and what are the adverses in childhood experience explained by Mr. Matt Perelstein. He is he's ambassador for EQ4PEACE. He is from California, USA, and he is doing several programs, webinars, and classes in different countries, especially in India. I think in many districts or many states is doing webinars and other programs based on emotional intelligence. And I think it is a gift for us to explain all these things from an international trainer. So from your part, I am welcoming Matt. You are welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here, and I appreciate that you guys do what you do and keep informing the world about different parts of our psychology and our better mental health and our well-being, and making a difference in the world. I appreciate that. So I recently, I've been involved with the adverse childhood experiences we're going to talk about today. Adverse childhood experiences. For me personally, we've been working with clients for 30-something years, doing workshops and helping people deal with, as you mentioned, Dr. S, about emotional intelligence. We're trying to teach people how to deal with their emotions because they don't know how to deal with their emotions. It's a bad thing. It's a very, very bad thing because we don't learn about it in schools, and we don't talk about it at home, and we better not deal with emotions at work, and nobody talks about them, and nobody wants to deal with them, and we don't learn about them, and just it's causing some huge effects on our society and on us individually. So we need to talk about them. We need to learn about them. We need to understand them. We need to do better on emotional education. It's like half of our system, our brain is there's two parts of our brain, right? Are split down, right? The left part is our logic and our reason and our knowledge, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's our IQ, we call it, our IQ, right? Our intelligence. And that's a wonderful thing. That's where we focus. But there's a whole other side of us. There's a whole other side of our brain and our body and our system that is completely ignored, or we try to ignore it actually, and until it bites us. But it is, it's about emotions. It's about feelings. It's about understanding ourselves and what's going on inside of us. There's a whole lot of stuff going on that we're not aware of, and we don't know what to do with it. And I don't have a slide on this, but societally, it is going very, very badly. It's going, especially since COVID, it's going very badly. Divorce is up, abuse is up, violence is up. The worst one, I think, is suicide is up, way up, especially in India, especially in the United States. They are radically growing like crazy. And to me, that's the real indicator of people not knowing how to deal with themselves. They say, I don't know how to deal with life. I am hurting, I am in pain, or I am upset, and I don't know what to do with it. I think it's going to continue for the rest of my life. I can't stop it. And so I am not going to live this way. And boom, they're out of here and they're gone. And that is just horrible. It's a horrible situation, and it's avoidable. It's avoidable. So that's what I'm jumping up and down about. That's why I'm up in the middle of the night talking to you guys and talking about what's going on with us emotionally. We're trying to figure out how this stuff works and how to teach it, how to get it across to people, because most people don't know. They have no idea how to handle their emotions because they never talked about them before. So we're trying to help people deal with their emotions, right? Well, as it turns out, this is a new subject, and why we're on this subject today, adverse childhood experiences, ready for this? Here's a big shocker. If you had bad things happen to you as a child, if you had a tough childhood, chances are you're going to have a tough teenage years, and you're going to have a tough adulthood. Shocker, huh? It's kind of like, duh. No kidding. If it was bad for you as a child, it's probably going to be bad for you as an adult, unless there was some kind of intervention or something happened that you can do better, because chances are you're going to do what your dad did or what your mom did or what you experienced. That's what you're probably going to do, because you think that's the only choice. If there's no other education, or there's no other input, or there's no intervention. So what we're finding, what they're finding, which is huge, is that there is a new test. Well, it's not that new now. It's from the late 1990s. There's a test that is very, very, very simple. And all it does is ask you some questions, yes or no questions. Did these various things happen to you as a child? And if they did, the more that happened to you as a child, the more chances that you're going to be a mess as an adult, both physically and emotionally. And so that's my quick introduction to why I'm jumping up and down about this right now. I just saw a workshop on this the other day, 2 or 3 days ago, and I went, whoa, I got to talk about this. I need to do some more research on this. So I'm not done yet, but I have some things for you that will at least get us started on the conversation. Okay, so here comes the PowerPoint. Let me clean this up just a little bit so we can see better. Boom, and I'm going to squish this, and there we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about these ACEs. ACEs, they're called. All right. So we're going to talk about the traumatic childhood events known as ACEs. They're getting extremely popular because they're finding they're very, very valuable, and I will talk more about that in a minute. But it's like, I was surprised. I was really, really surprised and encouraged that so many are taking this seriously at highest levels of education and government, because it is connecting emotions with education and behavior and physical ailments and all that. And so that means that awareness is increasing, and that money to work on this stuff is increasing, and people are being aware of what's going on. And that's a big part of this, right? If we can't do anything until we're aware of what we're aware, we can't do anything until we're aware. And so awareness is always the first step to change. And so we're trying to make people aware at all levels. This is all people at all levels, and it applies. It's universal application. They are everybody. This affects everybody. So I'm going to show how ACEs, the studies are showing how ACEs affect us as an adults, both behaviorally and physically. Think about that. Physically, that means that there's a connection between our emotions and our physicalness, our thoughts, our feelings, and our body, and it's tearing down our bodies. It explains so much of some of the medical problems that don't make any sense, that they don't have a good reason for them, and they go back and see that, oh my goodness, this person had a horrible childhood. Well, their body is now paying for it. So anyway, and we can hopefully have some interventions involved in there and interrupt that process. There's good news. So this is all good news. So let's keep going. They're called extreme stressors. That's just another way of putting them. Adverse childhood experiences are extreme stressors. And check this out. 6 out of 10, this is from the Center for Disease Control, 6 out of 10 Americans, this is Americans, not, I don't know about you guys or other parts of the country or the world, but I do know this is from the Americans. 6 out of 10 have had at least one traumatic event happen in their childhood, and 1 out of 6, so what's that, 20% have at least 4. If you've had 4 ACEs, you're going to see that you're in trouble. not necessarily, well, be warning. Let me put it that way. Warning. Some bad stuff's going to happen if you've had at least 4 of these. And again, they're just yes or no questions of stuff that happened as a child. I'll go through them in a minute. So they're in 3 different groups. There's things that happen to you outside of you that threatened you. There's neglect in your family where you were not taken care of or you were not fed or etc. And then household adversity, which is fighting, drugs, somebody in prison, that kind of thing. So they come in 3 different groups, but I don't know that there's different statistics on different groups of this yet, depending on what happened to you. Maybe it doesn't matter, but maybe it does. Actually, it probably does. So we'll keep working on that. And then ACE, adverse childhood experiences. Adverse being bad. And what happened to you? This is bad things that happened to you as a child. At ACE, ACE. Higher rates of ACEs are associated with poor health, outcomes as adults, substance abuse, blah, blah, blah. In other words, if you had tough childhood, chances are you're going to have a tough adulthood. And and it's social and physical. These are some words that I got from some of the studies that I was reading this morning. Adverse rearing conditions direct individuals to adopt strategies that maximize short-term benefits. What that means, that's fancy words for saying impulse control. What that means is that people that have had they live it. This is the assumption, is that they lived in an unsafe environment that was either attacked or it was unstable at all times, and so all they had was the moment. You live in the moment and you live in survival mode, and so so strategies to maximize short-term benefits means I better get it now, or I may not ever see it. I may never get it. And so that creates impulsive decision making, which, as you can probably guess, is not a good idea a lot of times, because then we're reacting rather than responding. All right, reacting rather than responding, and that's a big deal. That's one of the biggest things about emotional intelligence, is that we can learn to respond, which means we put some thought into it. We're using both sides of our brain. We're not just reacting emotionally, we actually put some thought into it, and we balanced out our thoughts and our feelings, and so we can make better decisions and take better actions, right? So second one, decision making that prioritizes short-term rewards and creates poor socioeconomic outcomes. In other words, impulsive behaviors sometimes don't go very well. They don't go very well. So translating from fancy words down to reality. Resource scarce conditions, characteristics of rearing context of ACE exposed. So in other words, I better get mine or I'm not going to get it, which causes crime, violence, some stuff like that, where people are in kind of a survival mode, in a, oh my gosh, I better get it now kind of thing, and it doesn't go very well. Doesn't go very well in a lot of cases. So this talk is inspired by this guy. I lost his name. Here we go. Let me put his name in. It's Alex Lloyd. From the Department of Psychology, University of London, and I watched his TEDx talk, and he had some great information on what they're doing with this. So because people are having, I probably should put this later, but he's working with youth crime. This is one of the things that got me. So a lot of these kids have PTSD. Their first crime is lower in age, right? They are younger. they're younger, doing their first crime. They have more chance of drug use. They're aggressive or depressive. They are reactive, and they do smoking, drugs, fast food, selling drugs, that sort of thing. And they're linking the ACE studies with all these problems. These are some of the, let's see, major minor crimes, incarceration. They're connecting. Oh, these are where they're connecting the number of ACEs. The more likely, that more number of ACEs you have, the more likely that all these things are going to happen to you. Domestic violence, mental illness, homelessness, all kinds of things, because of having a bad childhood. So there was originally the ACE study was done in 1995. This was what it was called. Sorry, I don't have the link to it. I just have the PDF that I downloaded. It's a relationship of child abuse and household dysfunction on leading causes of death. So this was originally done by a hospital system in the United States called Kaiser, Kaiser, Kaiser. They are an HMO. They're all over California and I guess otherwise. But we got to talk to, my wife and I actually got to meet the guy who wrote this original study, or did the original study. And all they did was they asked people these questions on intake. So that means when they came to have their medical appointment, since it's a hospital, they asked them these questions, and they found out, you ready for this? This is wild. I didn't even put this in here, but they said that because they asked the questions, because they were maybe no one has ever asked these before, they actually on intake means people were going to the hospital for some problem, physical problem, right? Because they asked these emotional questions, 11%, this is a huge number, 11% of them didn't go to their medical appointment. They didn't actually make an appointment. It reduced the number of doctor office visits, which you can imagine is worth a huge amount of money to them, which runs everything. So they started to get interested in that and studied more about it, and now it's gone all the way up to the Surgeon General of the United States, and a lot of doctors now ask these questions on intake, and schools are using it, and some governments are using it for crime and such, as I mentioned before, etc. So it was a big deal, and it was done by doctors. So persons who experience 4 or more categories of childhood exposure compared to those who experience none had 4 to 12-fold increase in health risk of alcoholism, drug abuse, depression, and suicide. So if you had 4 or more ACEs, you're 4 times more likely to have these problems. That's a direct connection, they're calling it, direct connection, which is a big, big deal. You're probably going to be a smoker. You're going to have poor health. You're going to have too many sexual partners. You're going to have STDs, on and on and on. Severe obesity, the whole works. So that's kind of a big deal. I was trying to get this at the end, but we got thoughts and feelings. We have choices. We get to choose. That's my emotional part of this. So the 10 areas of trauma, psychological abuse, physical abuse, these are the fancy words for them. I'll show you the actual, here's the actual question. They're just yes or no questions. Did a parent or adult in your household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you? Yes or no? Did a parent or other child in your household push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or hit you hard so that left a mark or were injured, right? So injury. Did they touch or fondle you? So sexual. Did anyone in your family in prison? Did someone in your family an alcoholic? Was your mother abused, etc.? Did any of you in prison? Any of you have a mental health illness in your family, etc.? So those are the 10 questions, very, very simple. You could go through them if you want real quick and give yourself the rating here. I'll make it bigger if you can see them. I also give a link at the end of online test you can take They've now expanded this to 15 questions because it's missing a couple, like being bullied and etc. And I'll go into those in a minute. But so here's some charts that I found, which are really interesting, right? They can have lasting effect on health, behavior, and life potential. The victims of emotional or physical abuse have a higher risk of cancer. Cancer. These are the 10 areas: physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, physical or emotional neglect, or household dysfunction. What's going on in your household? Mental illness, your mother was treated violently, their parents were divorced, there was substance abuse, or someone was in jail, right? Those are the 10. Here's one that gets me, as far as the connection between what's happened to you as a child and what's going on with you socially, your social, political, or social beings as an adult, your behavior. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. So increased chance, look, direct relationship between your ACE score and your chance of alcoholism. Look at that. The angle goes straight up, right? Antidepressant descriptions, straight up. Risk of perpetrating domestic violence, straight up. Direct connections with those. Smoking, straight up. It's wild, right? And I'm sure they were surprised. Yes, childhood abuse leads to youth suicide. Yeah, of course, definitely. I mean, that's kind of I mean, it seems fairly evident to me of how that happens. They don't know how to deal with their emotions. They feel bad. They feel when a lot of times kids who are abused feel like they're the problem. They're the problem. It's not that go, hey, that wasn't supposed to be treated like that. What happens a lot of times in my work with them and other things I've read is that that kids are very good observers. They see what happens and they feel what happens and they hear what's happening, but they're not very good interpreters, which means they don't know why it's happening. They only know that it's happening. They see it and feel it and believe and take it in spiritually and physically, but they don't know why it's happening. They think it must be them. The kids often think it must be them, that I must have done something wrong. It must be bad. If these big adults who are really smart and much bigger and smarter than me are beating on me, then it must be me. I must be doing something wrong. I must be broken. I must be bad. I must be a bad person. Not just I did something bad, but I am bad. And that's called shame. And that leads to all kinds of horrible things in your life. You're not going to do well. You're not going to succeed. You're probably not going to have great relationships. And eventually you probably are going to end up going, you know what? I am bad. It'd be better for me. It'd be better for everyone else if I'm not here. And boom, off you go. So the connection between abuse and shame and suicide to me is pretty clear. I hope that helps answer the question a little bit. Even mortality. Here's a big one. If you don't have any ACEs, 60% live to 65. If you have 4 or more ACEs, 3% live to 65. Three. Ouch. Right? At work, it applies at work. Increased absenteeism, increased financial problems, increased problems performing your job. Chances are you got the more ACEs you have, the more problems you're going to have at work. Wild, huh? Here's behaviorally. All right. If you have no ACEs, 1 in 16 people smoke. 1 in 69 are alcoholics. 1 in 480 use intravenous drugs. 1 in 14 have heart disease. 1 in 96 attempt suicide. Right. But if you have 1 to 3 ACEs, those numbers go down dramatically. Look at that. It's almost double. And 1 in 480 use drugs. Now it's 1 in 43. That's 10 times more likely to use drugs if you have a bunch of ACEs. And if you have 4 or more, 1 in 30. That's really horrible. 1 in 6 drink and smoke, etc. So you get the idea. It gets bad quickly. Impact. I already said this. All right. Here's a good one. This is more specifically the prevalence. This is how bad they are by subject matter. So somebody in prison, only 7%. This is the United States. Oh, it looks like this is Minnesota. This is one state in the United States. Only 7% of the people had somebody incarcerated. 10% sexual abuse, 10% drug abuse, domestic violence goes up, physical abuse higher, mental illness even higher, separated or divorce even higher, drinking problems very common, and verbal abuse. Wow, that means 28%. That means 1 out of 3, almost 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3 households had verbal abuse and probably drinking problem in your household. Ouch, yikes. Then you switch over to physical. These are the ones. This chart is from the hospital system that started this whole thing. Physical stuff. So if you had more, now check this out. Think about that. I mean, this is shocking to me that the more bad stuff happened to you as a child, you're gonna get arthritis. Arthritis. What do those have to do with each other? What incarcerated means? In prison, in jail. Incarcerated means you're arrested and put in jail. Arthritis. What the heck does emotions have to do with arthritis and asthma? And you can see heart disease and heart attacks and stuff like that. I can, but vision problems. Your emotions affect your vision. Wow, wow, right? Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, I can make each of these too small, huh? Okay. Sorry. Does that help a little bit? Yeah. There. Okay, so still you get the idea, like, and you, as you can see from the numbers here, that goes up dramatically if the more aces that you have. If you had 1, it's almost double if you had 4. God dang, that's wild. That is just so wild. So check this out. So if you start with, if you're born and then you have abuse and neglect and household dysfunction, it's going to cause difficulty in learning and engaging with your environment, maybe hyperactivity or depression. Then it gets worse, unable to process or understand information, loss of higher reasoning and learning disabilities. Then because of those, I reckon you will then adopt health risk behaviors, which means risky lifestyles like drugs and sexuality and drinking and partying and driving too fast and all kinds of stuff that you end up doing because of those. And then that causes more disease and disability and social problems, and it ends up in early death. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this pretty well covers it, doesn't it? The point of what we're trying to get to here is that we need to stop this. We need to change it. We need to change it. Those of us who are aware need to do it different. We need to try to start doing it different. We need to treat our kids better and our society better. And we need to teach parents, teachers, and bosses how to do their emotions so they can do the ripple effect, we call it, right? The drill down ripple effect. And we try to teach at the higher level so people you guys teachers, right, and professors and educated and researchers need to understand their emotions so that we can teach the kids and everybody else in society. So we're calling it a ripple effect, trickle down, and we got to stop it. If we were not treated well, if things went badly for us, we got to do it different. And it's hard. It's hard. It's A, we're kind of making it up, and B, we're going against what our system kind of not naturally, but our system learned as a child. This is how you do things. When someone is mean to you, you hit them. That's what I always saw. That's what happened with my parents. So that's what I'm going to do. I only have one choice. This is how you do it, right? This is what I saw. This is how I do it. This is how life is. This is what happens, right? But if you have emotional intelligence, if you are listening to both your logic and your emotions, then you have more choices. You have more choices. You don't have to do exactly what your mom or dad did. You don't have to treat people the way you were treated. You have choices. And that means that you can make better decisions and take better actions because you have more choices. And you get more choices by listening to yourself, listening to both your thoughts and your feelings, right? It seems like I should do that, but it doesn't feel right. It's not a good idea. I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to hit or get into physical stuff. So I can balance things. I can balance things inside of me, but that requires awareness and understanding of our emotions and what's going on inside of us, our thoughts and our feelings, and that our thoughts create our feelings, and then and that we can adjust both of those. We're in charge of both of those. We can adjust both of those. So I already mentioned this one. So get your ACE scores. If you go to acesmatter.org, which I just became a board member of yesterday, which is pretty cool. That's what, or day before yesterday. That's why I got excited about this in the first place. And ACEs do matter. ACEs very much matter. And what they're doing is working with people who find out awareness first, find out what your ACE score is, and then if you had problems in your childhood, let's deal with them. Let's help you do things better, do things different. You don't have to do what your parents did. You don't have to treat your kids the way you were treated. You don't have to continue the cycle. We can interrupt the cycle, it's called, right? So they have Facebook community. They have a DISC test. I don't know if you're familiar with the DISC test. It's an interesting information about how you operate, kind of like the Myers-Briggs evaluation, where you find out about what's going on, what kind of person you are, how your personality description, etc. And it helps you make sense of you. It helps you understand you better. And it helps you understand how you fit in and how you might be different with some other people. And if you understand you, then you probably understand them better. And so it's helpful to have assessments and testing of ourselves, emotional testing. Explore, read, learn, journal, meditate, exercise, something, open up and become aware of your own emotions and how they work. This is not my recommendation. Another fellow said that this was a life changer for him. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Clover. I have not read it, but yeah, came highly recommended. Okay, they said if the prison and welfare systems can be built in preparation for people with ACEs, so can healing communities, meaning we can do something different. We can know that a good portion of our society has had all these problems and they need emotional training. They got to have emotional training, whether they want it or not, because lack of emotional training, lack of emotional literacy and intelligence is dangerous. It's a problem and it's dangerous. It makes it unsafe for all of us. If you don't know how to deal with your own self, then you're who's in charge? Nobody's in charge. You're doing instant gratification. You're getting what you want, whatever, even if it's illegal or harming other people. You're not taking into account your values and beliefs that keep you as a good person. And so the prisons are full of that, of impulsive actions. They only took a second. Only took a second, and they cause incredible damage and you mess up your life for years and years to come because of just a momentary impulsive action. So ACEs matter. This is the ACE quiz that we went through. And here, this is another one that got me. Scotland is doing this in a big time. So this was from Andrew Lloyd again, or Alex Lloyd again. And he was saying that in Scotland, they are taking into account they have a violence reduction unit. And what they're basically doing is help teaching kids how to deal with their emotions. And they cut their murders in half last year, cut them in half. That's kind of a big deal, right? By teaching people how to deal with their emotions. That's kind of a big deal. I think that is an incredibly big deal. And so it got my attention, and I want to continue with this and learn more about it and figure out what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is, okay, so we've got ACEs. So we can now, and it's becoming acceptable, I guess, in the higher levels to use these ACE tests to find out how bad things have been for you. They then indicate that you're going to have problems as an adult. They indicate their problems. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it? It's the in-between part that I'm interested in. Okay, now we know there's a problem. We're good, and it's going to get worse. What do we do about it? What do we do about it? And that is the key in this. And this is why I'm excited about this whole thing, because I believe it is emotional education, and they're finding out it is emotional education, that we can do that. We can teach it in schools. We can teach it at home. We can teach it at work. We can teach people. Most people in the world have no idea how to deal with their emotions. And that's a very, very, very bad thing. And so we can do something about it. So here's my last slide. It's just this is the same ACE. This is the ACE questions. This is the ones that are on ACEs Matter. There's now 15 of them instead of just 10. These are them. So if you have some of these, then you got some work to do. If you have some of these, you got some work to do. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. And even if you don't, you got to learn about your emotions, right? Even if you don't, even people with low ACE scores, ACEs Matter works mostly with people that have high ACE scores. The lady that runs it, Cindy Sanford, she's a wonderful, beautiful, super smart PhD, amazing person. She has 10 out of 10 of the original 10. Every one of these happened to her as a child, and she's incredible now. And so she's a great example that it can be done differently. And it's tough. It's no small thing. And it's been very difficult for her to get to this point. But I've been so impressed with her personally also, and her message that we can do it different. Even though you were mistreated as a child, you can do it different, and you can not do some of the things that they did, and you can do more positive things. You can spin it positive. So I got more work to do. I'll probably end up coming back to you guys with some more information at a later webinar, if hopefully. Any comments, questions, concerns, complaints? What do you think?
Yes,
Is this
thank
helpful?
you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's a very wonderful topic. Really wonderful topic. We are also suffering from such problems. Even today also we have some problem like this. So what is this disc test? Something disc test.
Disgust?
No, disc test is that disc DISK.
I'm still not here. Can you put it in the chat, please, sir? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, disc. Oh, disc. Yeah. I don't know that much about it. They do the let's see. I had a slide on it and I took it out actually. Let me see if I can find it while we're talking. Ask me something else, and then I'll see if I can find it while we're talking, and I'll get you some more information. Any other questions or?
This is your slide, isn't it? This is the ACEs Matters.
Yep. And then go down, and there's so go up just a little bit. I talked to Cindy and told her you can't find it. See, take ACE survey. Yeah, it's down a little bit. It's not very obvious. There, right there. And that, see those buttons? Take a survey is one of them.
So it is a government organization or is a private? It's an NGO.
No, they're a private nonprofit. They're a nonprofit in the United States.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, you are joined there, so you are working with the emotional intelligence as well as ACE, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, Venugopal sir, can you have some questions?
Hello, hi. I'm Matt. The topic you chose
Hey,
is very relevant and important. And I can say, when I was a child, during my childhood days in India, only 10% of the children, they experienced the ACE. Only 10%. In the schools, they never came across any kid using any substance like marijuana. At that time also, marijuana is available. And alcoholism, forget about it. But now, 90% of the children, they experience ACE. 90%, I'm not
90.
kidding. 90 is more than what the children in America experience, because I can compare. I live here and I know what is going on there. Because of too much of pressure from the parents, teachers, steady. They are not allowing the child to develop spontaneity, naturalness, and they are imposing all those things. And in schools also, even the 7th graders, 8th graders, they use substance. All these substance abuse problems, alcohol, everything, and especially in Kerala, that is my state, that is the highest incidence. So all these things are happening because of the ACE. And unfortunately, we are in a firefighting mode. We are trying to not dealing with the root cause. We should educate the parents. We should educate the teachers. Prevention is the right thing to do. That's not happening. Okay, thank you for your talk.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I think the root of the problem is the lack of emotional education. And if we could learn how to deal with our emotions better, we wouldn't need marijuana and alcohol and all that other stuff. So that's my opinion. That's where I'm basing our nonprofit on that, in fact. And we're learning it, having it lead to peace. We're hoping that it leads to peace. If you're at peace, you don't need a bunch of substance. You can create peace inside of you and around you, and that's our objective. So right on, Dr. Radir. Thank you.
Okay. Can you say something?
Mr. Matt, good evening.
Yeah, hi.
Hi,
hello.
How are you?
Good. Are you from Sisters?
No, I'm from Kerala, India.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right. I didn't know if we met before. Hi.
I'm part of a voluntary group, just like you said, the NGO. We have an NGO here where we deal with the children. We go to the schools in government schools and we mentor them.
Yeah.
So the subject which you have chosen was extremely interesting. And it was rather very, very informative. And I wanted to ask you something as a favor, whether the in your name, it was said that it is like EQ4PEACE.org. Correct?
Yeah.
So if I contact in that, will you be able to help me with some more information where I will be able to take classes for my mentors so that they can do this in the government schools throughout Kerala?
Sure, ma'am. He is interested in also.
What did you say?
Here, I put my email address in the chat. So write to me.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It was indeed my pleasure to listen to you, and you have done a wonderful job. Thank you, Matt.
Well, I don't know how wonderful it was, but it's important. It's important. And thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing and helping the kids. That's super important. So yay.
Thank you very much.
I'm കഴിഞ്ഞ 30 വർഷത്തോളമായി EQ4PEACE he is working.
Okay.
അപ്പൊ കേരളത്തിലും പല കോഴ്സുകൾ നമ്മളായിട്ട് തന്നെ പല ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻസിനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്ത് നമ്മൾ ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ എടുക്കുന്നു.
Fine. Thank you.
Number share it. Okay, we can talk.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Shaji sir, you are talking something? Lahanan sir, anybody else?
Yes. Matt, congratulations for becoming the board member of Matt organization. Organization.
Thank you. Thank you. I felt very good.
Your class was wonderful. Anyway, there is a wonderful need for emotional education here, particularly in Kerala, so many people are not aware of the basic issues connected with life. So they resort to suicide, etc. In fact, it is a horrible situation and one can easily avoid it. For that, right level of healing and recovery is to be implemented or executed. They may be suffering from childhood trauma, as you explained, and we have to explore, read and learn and journal and meditate and exercise. All these things to be taught to the suffering ones. So emotional training is what we do to do about it is a wonderful question that we have to ask ourselves. By going through the know your ace score, we can find out the conditions of the particular one suffering from it. Anyway, thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation.
All right, you bet. Thank you for the thank yous, and we'll continue. There's a lot more to do. We're just realizing what's the problem, or well, yeah, we're kind of realizing the root of the problem, and so now we can hopefully do something about it.
So there is an ACE score. ACE score is Gladison, sir, please.
Matt, I would like to mention the importance of that childhood health, mental health of a childhood. I used to, since I'm a psychologist and a counselor working in Kerala, I make a statement like this, even for marriage also. After marriage, no problem takes place. Only the problem continues which happened in their childhood. And one more thing, among professionals also, so-called professionals, maybe IAS officers, doctors, engineers, decision-making people, when they become corrupt just because their childhood is in a very subtle way, they have been gone through immense violence in their childhood, maybe in different forms, pressure on their studies or their discipline, their spontaneity is really killed and really hushed up and made them big professionals with vacuumness in their emotional integrity, which is very, very, very pathetic, which that is the real problem which lies in the world and also in our society. That's what I feel. And also, even for war, like Ukrainian war or any war, or premiers or rulers of the country, they have been gone through violence in their childhood. That is the one of the most important results for their, even they don't have any prick of conscience to induce pain on others. That is the main reason childhood abuse and childhood violence they have gone through. That is the most vulnerable, sensitive area, time in which they got the utmost pain in their life, and they got enormous tolerance in their life aftermath.
Yep, it's incredible, isn't it? It's the effects of this are so deep and so wide that it's incredible to me. I just can't believe that we're just figuring this out, that it's emotions that are the problem. The lack of emotional education is such a huge problem and so deep within all of our cultures and the whole world. Very, very few positive examples of societies teaching their kids how to deal with their emotions. Very few. And how could that be? We've been alive for thousands of years. How could that be? It's amazing to me. But I'm glad we're doing it now, and I'm glad we're starting to figure this out. I mean, how many wars probably were started because, just like you said, because these guys were mistreated, or they feel like aggression and ego is so important, and the power and just amazing. So anyway, get on my soapbox. But I'm with you. I agree. Good point, Gladson. Thank you.
Yes, Reja, please.
Yeah, Matt, this is Rija.
Hi.
I'm interested in adverse childhood adversity. So I've been listening to some podcasts on this topic.
Yep.
And
Oh, really? Cool.
I feel one of the reasons it could be this attachment to the caregivers, no, the early attachment during the early period of our lives.
Yep.
Earlier, long ago, that we had these joint families here. So even if the primary caretaker, the mom is not there, there would be aunts or other people around who would take care of the child. But right now, it's all becoming nuclear families. So the child, actually, a human child is not, its brain is not fully mature when it is born, because we are erect animals. We give birth little earlier. Because the brain, the head is the largest portion of the body when the child is born. So it has to come through that canal, the birth canal.
Yeah.
So the human baby is born with an immature brain. And so the emotional circuits are learned from the caregiver. When the mother takes the child and interacts with it, it is then when the mirror neurons in both their brains interact, and the emotions are learned from the caregiver. So if this does not occur in those early, it's even before verbal language is developed in the child. When it is, so those emotions, it is actually implicit memory is being created when the child is interacting with the mother or the caregiver, who was the primary caregiver. If that doesn't occur, these circuits do not develop at all. And later, all these adverse events that occur, it can be even, depends on the child's temperament. If the child is very sensitive, even if the mother does not, like when the child is coming and trying to talk or trying to interact with the mother, if she just shoos it away, it is an adverse childhood experience. It's trauma for the child. So those things will make the child feel that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, or I'm unlovable.
Right.
So these are all traumas that occur in almost every one of us. It's not that only those people who are having very violent households or anything. It is transgenerational. It is occurring. So unless we get to know what our own emotions. Matt, do you know all your emotions? Time to time we are changing, but are we aware of what am I feeling right now? Are we able to name it? Are we able to label it? We ourselves don't know. So we have to learn as adults. We learn first, who am I? What are my emotions? Why am I behaving like this? Then only we can teach others. So it is important that all of us learn and find out, who am I? What is my feelings? What are my emotions? Why am I behaving like this? Unless we do that, we cannot teach others. So we have to first learn. We have a lot to learn. And I think this is a very relevant topic. And thank you, Matt, for bringing it to the forefront. I think we all have a lot of work to do in this regard, so that we can create a better world.
Yes, right on. All right, Rizal. Yeah, good points. Very good points. Yeah, you're talking about bonding with the caregiver and the mom being nurturing with the child and that sort of thing. And what do you do now? The mom's already has low self-esteem, or the mom's getting abused at the same time, or the mom doesn't have enough to eat, or that kind of stuff. And how can she treat her kids? And it just goes on, and it just goes down quickly.
It goes
So
generation
you're
to
right.
generation to generation.
So much.
When
Yeah.
a traumatized child is going to become an adult who has all these things affect our adult relationships also.
Yep.
Whatever childhood adversities we had, it can be not only mom, it can be from the teachers or other caregivers, or it need not be a very like full-fledged abuse, but even small things can affect our emotional means our emotions, and so we get traumatized. So unless we understand those and deal with them, emotional intelligence, dealing with all these problems that almost every person has. We cannot blame our parents. Their circumstances were probably like that. So if the parents are very poor, or they are not emotionally literate, they are going to deal the same way.
Yep. That's why we got to teach everybody. So the problem is huge. It's deep, it's wide, it's just amazingly big. But the good news is, or what I'm trying to keep a good thought, is that we can make a difference. We can teach. Since it's just education, it's information that once you get it, you got it, you have it. It's basically all free inside of us. We just don't know how to use it. And so it's just an education problem, a training issue. And so that's a good thing. So we'll see. We got it. So I'd say most of the world doesn't know. They have no idea how to deal with their emotions. And that's a really, really bad thing. So, but I think we can do something about that. We're trying to.
I think we should make more people aware, and we should get it going. I think that this is the base for all diseases also, physical, mental, financial, socio-economical. The base is this is the root. So unless we catch the root and get it straightened out, things are not going to, but it can be done. It can be learned. So it can be done.
Peace is possible. I'd like to believe, I am going to believe. Dalai Lama said it was. Some other people that said, yeah, it's possible. So let's try it.
So definitely we will continue the session next week also. I think Mr. Matt will do more exercise on easy, So what you are planning to do with this organization? What you are planning to do with this NGO, Mr. Matt?
Like I said, they're good on awareness. They're trying to get people aware of their ACEs, that ACEs are a problem, and get aware of them and take the classes and stuff. What I think they could use some help with, that I want to help with, is, so now what? Okay, now you're aware. Now what do I do? Okay, so I have 4 or 5 ACEs. Yikes, right? Okay, now I'm nervous because I'm probably going to have physical problems. I'm probably going to have emotional problems, etc. I probably do have emotional problems. What do I do? And that's where I'm coming in, where I go, okay, we got to learn the basics. First off, you have thoughts and feelings. Second, thoughts create your feelings. Third, you get to choose. You're responsible. Nobody makes you think anything. Nobody makes you feel anything. You do that. And that's really good news. You're in charge of yourself and your inner world. And I don't think most people know those very basic things. I get to choose. I don't have to do what I saw or felt or what was done to me. I can do it different because I am in charge of me. And that's a beautiful thing. And it becomes emotional responsibility, leads to personal responsibility, which leads to social responsibility, which hopefully will lead to less war and more peace and all kind of good stuff like that. So it all starts with you are in charge of you. You're in charge of your thoughts and your feelings. And that's really good news. And it hopefully will be the core that starts everything changing. That's my hope, and that's what I'm working on. That's what gets me out of bed early in the morning. Yeah. Starting from the beginning.
Dr. Lennon, please.
Thank you, dear Matt, sir. Thank you, dear Matt, sir. You have delivered a wonderful subject in a simple way, very simple way. Even the language is
A lot of
problem
this
is
stuff
good,
is,
it is really in a simple way you have explained to us. Thank you very much. And two more items I have to say, sir.
Okay.
We are searching in darkness. Why this gentleman, this lady committed suicide by parents, friends, etc., etc. For them, there is no answer for that. He is well equipped in all items, but he failed to find out this comes under ACE. He is under ACE. The second thing I want to say, the girls are extending their marriage or try to avoid their marriage. Again, the parents are searching for the reason. The answer comes sexual abuse and comes many things under ACE. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this kind information. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Anita ma'am, can you say something?
Okay.
Unmute.
IQ from childhood. If we can include this subject as our school education, we can tackle many problems. And then emotional has for some time been a buzzword among education circles too. Then we can constitute emotional intelligence are divided into many types, that is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills, etc. So, if a student with a high EQ can communicate better, lessen their anxiety and stress, resolve conflicts, improve relationships, empathize with others, and overcome life's changes. Students with higher levels of emotional intelligence can check on their emotions better and be empathetic to others around them. So if we introduce, this is the most important for introducing this subject to school level, then we can tackle many problems, like even though sexual harassment also we can tackle. Very good subjects. Okay, thank you, sir.
Actually, this will be added as an experiential learning part. It's an experiential learning part, not part of curriculum, but this is part of experiential learning. So whenever some some child is talking about something like that, at least this teacher or the parent should inquire about that. Then only it will work. So now commonly it is rejected. That's the problem.
Now we can say that if any student asks this kind of subject, all will be abusive.
Yes. You will be rejected. That's the problem.
Yes, sir.
So Vijayan sir, can you talk something?
Sir, this ACE is a reality now. I'm just considering if there is any possibility of equipping children to meet the ACE, understand his feelings, and express it. Wherever he wants to say no, teach the children to say no. And if it is a hurt feeling, you share with the parents. Whether that type of approach, equipping the children to deal with their own emotions and strongly worded this no word to say no. Because the entire scenario cannot be changed overnight. And the family equations, especially in the family equation, if the family equations between husband and wife is bad, that itself is going to reflect a lot of calamity on the children. And the child is going to get an ace from outside, then the child may hesitate to open up his feelings. So these are all interwoven situations. And one point which I strongly feel that whatever may be happened, the child should be taught, educated, equipped to say what he felt about one particular incident, share with the family or teacher or something. That's all.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful subject, sir, really, because the entire scenario lies down to simple ACA, and the society's health is also dependent on dealing with the ACE. Thank you, Matis. Wonderful.
Yes. All right. Thank you. I agree with you.
Piran sir is there? Piran sir?
Fine, sir.
Referee sir? Hamza sir? Joseph John sir? Anybody else? So what is our next week? You are continuing this topic?
It needs more work, that's for sure.
Topic. Really interesting topic.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Joseph sir, please.
I need to do some more research.
Yeah.
But I do know, I was pretty impressed to hear that how fast it's growing and how popular it is already. And it's just, but I read a good quote. It said, it's not, ACEs are not excuse, they're explanation, right? That's important. I think it's not, oh, I can do this. Well, that's why I'm doing it. Well, it explains why you're doing it, but that does not make it okay. Right? So,
yes.
So yeah, it definitely needs a lot of work.
I would like to thank Mr. Matt for taking up this relevant topic. All should be knowing about this. Otherwise, our children will have to suffer. No?
Yeah.
So you have pointed out the importance of emotional education everywhere, in schools and in institutions, I mean, in organizations, everywhere it is needed. And adverse childhood experiences will have or is having harmful effects in our life. In every way of our life is affected due to adverse childhood experiences.
I know.
I have been,
amazing, huh?
I am a person who had to suffer adverse childhood experiences.
Really?
And through experiences, through learning, we have to overcome. And as you said, there is possibility of overcoming all these bad experiences. Yeah, that is a good news. And in Kerala, many cases are being detected about drug abuses and all. In other states, I don't think it is not like that. So as a whole, in Kerala, it seems so many cases of drug abuse and etc. Suicides are there. It seems due to this news propaganda and the intervention of police and the excise department. So many cases are being brought out in Kerala.
Yeah.
And that might be the reason Kerala is reckoned as more with the more cases of drug abuse and suicides, etc. That's my view.
Yeah.
Maybe correct or not. Okay, anyway, how this was wonderful knowledge. And as I said, it's a relevant topic. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for the thank yous. And I wish you the best in your journey to try to get over some of this stuff. It's hard because you end up you know, it's hard enough to just to grow up and do life, even if things are going well. But if things are really bad, then you kind of starting from the minus. You got more work to do. It's an uphill battle, and I feel for people who have a lot. I don't have a lot, but it doesn't matter. I grew up completely unaware of my emotions, no idea, clueless court. A friend of mine gave me a sign. It says, it's up in my office, says clueless court, means clueless. I don't know. I didn't know anything about it. So whether you have no aces or a lot of aces, saying it, we got to learn about our emotions. We've got to. Says
so we are really interested because we have really suffering such problems in Kerala because of lack of education or awareness. Not like US or any other modern countries. Here, people are very much afraid of talking to counselors or even psychologists. It's a problem. So really,
it is a problem.
Much interested in this topic. You can prepare some more details in next week, and you can come. We are very happy to be part of the session. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it helps me too, because it forces me to go do the research and get something organized, a little sort of organized into PowerPoint. So it's helpful for me too. So I appreciate we're doing good. We're doing some good things, Dr. S. Thanks for working with me.
So okay, thank you once again, Mr. Matt and all others. So tomorrow we will see Toxic Personalities by Joseph Johnson.
Oh, there you go. All right. So you know about toxic personalities, huh? Really. Good. All right.
We'll find some A's.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And see you and good night.
Yep. Keep sharing the good news about emotional intelligence. It's so super important.
Sure.
I think that is the root cause of all of this. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.
Sir, you are talking something? Sir,
sir, I only towards the end of the session I came to attend this one, so I feel that I lost a very good enlightening speech of our guest speaker. Reputed words are there. Anyway, I got a little, but I could guess what he would have spoken about. This is a very serious, grave, very serious issue, especially in our places. We have hypocrisy. In the Western world, they don't act like that. No pretension at all. But here, everybody looks in front of others, very gentle people. But so anyway, this awareness is only confined within a few people. We have to convey the ideas to the grassroots level. So great session. Anyway, sir, whenever you have time, you share your research findings with people like us. Anyway, once again, thank you.
Sir, he's always here in all Saturdays.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Please come and join.
All right.
Definitely.
Yep. Joseph, I put the link to the PowerPoint in the chat if you're interested. And of course, this is being recorded, so you can watch it later, right? So thanks, guys.
Chat box just to copy here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you. Joseph sir, unmute.
Sorry. So likewise, we should be knowing something about the negativity. Negativity and negative people.
Personalities, toxic personalities.
Toxic people.
Negative people. Okay.
Negative people. Okay. അറിഞ്ഞിരുന്നാലേ നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ സക്സസ് ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ സക്സസിന് വിലങ്ങുതടിയായി വരാതെ നോക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ.
സാറ് പറഞ്ഞ ഏസിന്റെ മെയിൻ റീസൺസ് ഇത് തന്നെയാണ്. ഈ ടോക്സിക് കുപ്പികളുടെ ഒരു ഇന്റർവെൻഷൻ ആണ് പലപ്പോഴും ഏസിലേക്ക് മാറുന്നത്. അത് എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റഡ് ആണെങ്കിലും അല്ലെങ്കിലും ഒക്കെ സംഭവിക്കാവുന്ന ഒരു റീസൺസ്.
കണക്റ്റഡ് ആണ്, അത് ഞാൻ പറയണമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചതാണ്.
ഓക്കെ സാർ, നാളെ ഇപ്പൊ കാണാം. ഞാൻ ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ വിളിക്കാം സാർ. ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു. Okay, thank you and good night. See you.
Right.